All right, welcome. You're at Billy's place now. Show number 48. I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna have a big old show tonight, I promise you that. Great songs, great stories. I guarantee we are gonna go long tonight. Over an hour, for sure. And wow, so glad that you are all here. Welcome to all the folks that have been such loyal patrons over the last almost a year. This is the beginning of the 12th month. This is show 48. So 4 more shows and we've hit a year anniversary. So thank you everybody for being so loyal and seeing my show all these weeks and months. And welcome to anybody who's new out there that hasn't seen the show before. We welcome you. We're so glad that you're here. And let's hit that share button before we go any further. That would be super. And we'll get the show out to as many people as we can. And yeah, I invite you to visit my website, billyhinsche.com. I invite you to visit my YouTube channel, Billy Hinsche Official. You will find all manner of things to see and read, and photos and links to movies and all kinds of cool stuff that you can't see anywhere else. And I like the YouTube channel in particular because it's got all the preceding shows leading up to tonight, all 47 of them, and they are all free, my brothers and sisters. They don't cost anything. They are free for you to enjoy. So I want you to go ahead and do that. This show has always been free, always been for you, all for you. No. But, you know, if you're in the mood, it would be great if you either click that PayPal or Venmo link and send in a little support to help me keep this show going. I don't know how much longer I'll be doing it. I'm just going to keep on doing it until I can come to a venue near you in a city that you live in. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So yeah, send in a little something, keep the show rolling, and a portion of the proceeds always goes to MusiCares, and I will most definitely write you a note of thanks to show my gratitude for whatever you might send in. So, a couple of things I wanted to say before we go too much further. Graphics this week were Valerie Samadas. Thank you, Valerie. She always does a great job. I had one little correction last week. Actually, DESI pointed this out to me. I said that Randy Newman won 12 Academy Awards, and I read that somewhere, or I just misspoke when I was reading my notes. He actually was nominated for 24 Academy Awards. Isn't that something? That is certainly a testament to his songwriting skills. He won twice, not 12 times. So thank you, Desi, for pointing that out. I really do like to correct my mistakes from previous shows. Hey, Linda Richardson, congratulations. She was the winner of last week's trivia contest by successfully being the first person to name in the correct order the top 3 most popular I Love Lucy shows. And they were the Vita Mita Vegemin episode, the Grape Stomping episode, and the Chocolate Factory episode, but of course. So I sent Linda an Automan decal with an image of Chuck Wagner, and there's an image of Desi, and you know, it's significant to me in that I wrote the theme song for Automan. So I think I see Desi now. Hi, Desi. Are those all your hearts? Hi, Miss Amy. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're all here. Let's see. Oh my gosh, my special guest last week, Joe Vitale. How great was he? I mean, how good of a drummer do you have to be to play with Joe Walsh, honestly, and to co-write Rocky Mountain Way with him and Pretty Maids All in a Row. Joe's a multi-instrumentalist and vocalist. Thank you, Joe, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Oh, we should say happy birthday to George Harrison. He just celebrated a birthday a few days ago. So we're going to be talking about George and his music later on this evening. So I wanted to make sure we acknowledged that. Glenn Burtnick, what a talented man, friend of mine. He's a Jersey boy, not in the play, but I mean, he lives in Jersey, and he's done such great things. He's been in all kinds of productions, Broadway productions, Beatlemania. He's played in Styx. He's been co-writer or writer for Don Henley, John Waite, Patti Smythe. So thank you, Glenn. You made a beautiful, perfectly framed and composed PSA for me. Thank you so much, Glenn. Okay, well, I think maybe it's time to, I guess it's time to play a song. Have I forgotten anything? I hope not. All right, let me just sit on down here. I'm gonna sit right down and sing myself a song. That's not the right words, is it? No. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter. You remember that song? That good old song? Sure you do. And make believe it came from you. All right, before I go any further, I wanted to know, did you know, what Robin Hood said the first time he met Maid Marian? Robin Hood, when he first met Maid Marian? Sure would like to go out with you. Where is everybody? Come on. Come on. Desi, are you in there? Yeah, there he is. Hello, my friends. And it's good to see you again. I guess it's been a few years since I've been away. But I'm happy to say, doing okay myself. I can take what's happening. And every day there is something new. Good things are coming my way. Tell me how you've been. There's so much you gotta tell me. Let's talk about them good old days when we laugh and say, hey, hey, man, you're okay. They say it's nice and easy now. Well, it's a brand new year. Lots of things are happening and hey, good things are coming my way. Tell me how you've been. There's so much you gotta tell me. Let's talk about them good old days. We laugh and say, hey, 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 life. Let's get on back into that groove. Sit around for a couple of days, 'cause hey, good things are coming my way. Yeah, good things are coming my way. That's what I said. My way. Every day. Sunday morning gospel goes good with a song. There's blues, folk, and country, and rock like a rolling stone. The world could come together as one if everybody under the sun had some music. Your day. My way, my way, my way. Yeah, add some music to your day. What you think about that? I don't think the Beach Boys would mind that I just borrowed that little snippet of that song they made so popular all those years ago. And you know what? It's getting popularized again. I saw a beautiful video that was with several of the principal members of the Beach Boys and the second generation, Loves, Wilsons, Jardines, and it was a beautiful video singing Add Some Music. So check that out. That's for a charitable cause, which is always a beautiful thing. Gosh, I can't believe it's been 10 years almost since the 50th anniversary of the Beach Boys. and I was doing shows with the second generation kids, I call them. They're all grown up with families of their own. But we were doing shows opening for the Beach Boys, gosh, almost 10 years ago. California Saga, that's what we were called. And we did a lot of deep cuts from the Beach Boy material. You know, Annalie the Healer, Little Bird, Till I Die. That was fun. That was really fun. And everybody would call me Uncle Billy, because that is exactly who I am to those young people. Yeah, well, let's get into it here. This is the Traveling Wilburys show, show number 48. And, you know, of course, I've got to address each member of the Wilburys and talk a little bit about Roy Orbison. Oh, boy. Roy was a star before any of the other Wilburys. He was a major star, such a unique talent. And in fact, well, he was born in Texas, Vernon, Texas to be exact. And my gosh, the hits that he had, one after another. Only the Lonely, Runnin' Scared, Crying, Oh Pretty Woman, which of course Van Halen popularized. It's been covered by so many people. Ooby Dooby, that's kind of a silly song. I heard a story where the Stones, Rolling Stones, they were on the bill with Roy, and they talked him into doing Ooby Dooby, which really wasn't his favorite song, because it's kind of a silly song. Because they said, oh, well, we're going to do such and such song. So Roy was like, oh, okay, well, if you're going to do that silly song of yours, I'll do my silly song, Ooby Dooby. So they were goofing on poor old Roy, and he fell for it. Anyway, you know, the Beach Boys opened for Roy in Australia and New Zealand in 1964, January, February of that year. And I remember Carl coming back, because I met Carl just shortly thereafter in 65, and he was telling me a little bit about Roy, what a sweet, gentle man he was, and just said the most wonderful things about him. And he wore the sunglasses because he had, I believe he had a sensitivity to light, and you know, he always, Roy always seemed to, you know, want the girl, lose the girl, get the girl. It was always one of those scenarios. But he showed a lot of vulnerability. Whoa, that's not easy to say 10 times fast. Vulnerability, as opposed to machismo. And yeah, when I met him, when he opened for the Beach Boys, when his career was on the upswing again because of the Traveling Wilburys' success in 1980. Well, let's see. He opened for the Beach Boys in 1988, sort of on the comeback because of his 1986 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, Part 1, and the Wilburys' success. And he used to repeat his final song twice. He used to finish, I think it was with Crying, and then he'd leave the stage and the band would keep vamping, and he'd come out and do the end of Crying again, to much thunderous applause, because he would always hit that big note at the end. And I remember Carl Wilson saying, how are we supposed to follow that? Because we used to watch Roy from the wings, and that's how much Carl admired Roy and thought of him. And I met him, nicest man. I know he had the softest hands. I'll never forget that when I went to shake hands with him. He was just an artist, you know. He had the artist hands, and I just never forget having the honor of spending a little bit of time with him. So, anyway, he got the girl, he wants the girl, he loses the girl. He always had those scenarios. I'm going to take a little sip of my house drink and play you a song here. This is my Lipton cold brew iced tea. Oh, it's my special guest. Oh boy, this is going to be good. Hello? Yes. Yes, of course it is. Oh man, thank you so much for calling. I'm going to introduce you to my viewers. Do you mind if I put you on speakerphone so they can hear you better? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this fella, he and I shared the stage at the Hard Rock here in Las Vegas. as part of the Rating the Rock Vault show, which starred Dave and, of course, our friend Howard Leese, who's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, vis-a-vis Heart and Bad Company. Anyway, I had the privilege of sitting in with him, and we did All Along the Watchtower. But his prime gig, he's the lead guitar player for REO Speedwagon, Dave Amato. Now, Dave, say hello to my viewers, would you please?
Hey, everybody out there. Thanks, Billy, for having me. Good to talk to you.
Yes, indeed. Well, I was about to tell the folks a little bit more about you insofar as I did a little research here. And
don't do that, Billy. Don't tell them.
well, I got to tell them that you've worked with all kinds of people, from David Lee Roth to Richie Samburo to LaToya Jackson to Cher. So
oh, boy. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive credentials. And now you've been with REO. I did the show last week, featuring REO. So I'm really grateful you're able to call in tonight. I know we had a scheduling conflict, but you've been with the guys since '89. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. This is my 32nd year. Yeah, and one didn't count because we've been shut down since last March. Oh, it's been brutal this last
right
pandemic, and this last year. It's awful.
When do you anticipate going out again? I always like to poll people.
Boy. Well, we were supposed to start rehearsing in May because we had a gig in late May, but that kind of got canceled, and so we're estimating maybe starting rehearsals in June, and then we have scheduled shows like the last week in June, and right through the end of the year, if we can go or not. Not sure. That might even be a little early. I hate to say that, but even Kevin, our lead singer, he's thinking maybe September, which is the fall, and just terrible. I hope it's June. I got my fingers crossed for June. Let's go.
Yeah, your lead singer Kevin Cronin, whose song I did last week,
yeah,
Can't Fight This Feeling, which you've played thousands of times, as you told me, right?
Yes. Thousands of times in 32 years, yeah.
Yeah, people ask me kind of those kinds of questions, and I say, yeah, I played Surfer Girl about 3,000 times, easy.
Exactly, right.
So.
And it's still great. Look at the hits we're playing. The people love them, and we're lucky that Kevin wrote that song for us, and lucky to play it every night, and people just go wild over it. It's great. It's a great band and hits, and I know you, the Beach Boys, have a million hits. Oh my God, every song's a hit.
Well, we shared the stage with REO at Farm Aid and at Live Aid, and you weren't with the band just yet, but my gosh, you've got such a history with them. We also share a commonality in that the Beach Boys in Chicago toured in '75. I called it the Beachago Tour, and then you guys toured with them. In what year did you tour with Chicago?
Oh boy, God, the years just go fly by. Maybe 3 years ago?
Okay, yeah. I think that's about right, because I remember Robert Lamb telling me about it. So if Beach Boys in Chicago or Beachago, you must be Rechago.
That's it. That's it. And I think we mentioned that we both played, they played some of our songs and we played some of their songs. What a great time that is for me to play 25 or 6-4 on guitar, with them. It was amazing.
Did you get to start it, or did Keith start it?
Keith started it, and then it came in. That's right, Keith started it.
And so what songs of theirs did you guys do, and vice versa?
Oh, my God. I can't remember I can't remember what's 25, 6-4 for sure. This video of us, playing it. I think they played on Ride the Storm Out. It might have been Can't Fight. God, it's been so long ago, I can't remember.
How about Roll with the Changes?
Yes, Roll with the Changes. You're right. Exactly right.
Good guess, right? Because that's the song that the Beach Boys helped back up the group vocally at Live Aid.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm curious to know. Oh, and by the way, Joe Vitale, our buddy, is watching.
Ah, nice.
I just saw his name go by. He was my special guest caller last week. Did you get close with any one particular member of Chicago, or was there no time to socialize, fraternize?
No, all of them. What great guys. Especially Keith, because, you know, we're both guitar players and stuff. Keith is my buddy, you know?
Right.
We hung all the time, but all the guys, Robert Lamb was there, fantastic. Lee, you know, some of the horn players, just great band, great people. Tris was there on drums.
Oh, yes.
He's not there anymore, but he was when I played.
Right.
And Jason was on bass, and he's not there anymore, unfortunately. Those two guys are not there right now.
Right.
But that was an amazing band at the time.
Yeah, well, I always said that that 75 Bichago tour to this day was the most fun tour I have ever had. You know, Dennis Wilson was still with us, Terry Kath was still with us, and boy, we had a ball. We had
Terry Kath. Oh my! If you played on stage with Terry Kath, or even got close to him, he's amazing.
Yeah, I got to know Terry a little bit, and what a tour that was. I mean, Carl Wilson would sing Saturday in the Park, and Peter Cetera would sing Darlin', and oh my gosh, the place would erupt, you know.
Oh my God, it's just, you know, to be, you know, in the mix of both bands doing the songs, just, you know, that I grew up on, you know, Saturday in the Park, and I think we did that one too. It's just amazing. It was I hope we do it again sometime. It'd be great.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Matt, I want to thank you so much for calling in. I look forward to the day where we hopefully get to share the stage again. I want my audience to know I call guitar players like Dave, they are real mechanics. This guy can play anything. I've seen him play everything from the Led Zeppelin stuff to, you know, going toe to toe with Howard on stage, you know, swapping licks, exchanging licks on Hotel California and all those great songs that you did in Raiding the Rock Vault. So I hope to see you back.
I got to tell you something real quick. We did a Styx Don Felder tour. That was maybe, God, with this virus, I didn't even know how many years have passed by here, but probably at least 2 years ago we did Styx and Don Felder, and Don invited me up to play Hotel California with him. And I had to jump on it because of Rock Vault, you know? I had to jump on that song, I should say.
Yeah.
So I played it, and they want to keep playing it with me? I'm like, oh, you kidding me? You're serious? So I played the Joe Walsh part for 50 shows with him. It was incredible.
Wow.
Hotel California.
Wow. Yeah, Dave plays the 6-string. He plays the double neck 12-string 6-string. I'm telling you, folks, Dave Amato, he is one of the greats. So...
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I mean that sincerely. And thanks to Howard Leese for making the connection so that we could have this phone conversation. Thank you, Howard, if you're out there.
I love Howard. He's a Hall of Famer. He's the best, and he's a good friend of mine, and great, wonderful guy and player. Amazing player.
Yes, he is. Yep, he certainly is. Well, buddy, I got to keep pushing. I got a lot more show to do.
It is an REO song. Keep pushing. There you go.
Keep pushing. Okay, I'm gonna do another REO segment and do that song. Hey, man, God bless you. Thank you so much. And
Billy, thanks for having me, bud. Good to talk to you.
All right, buddy. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Dave Amato, I am telling you, this guy is incredible on guitar. Honestly, I've seen a lot of guitar players, and he is one of the best, honest to goodness. Wow, where was I? I was in the middle of talking about Roy Orbison and telling you about my house drink here. I'm going to continue to tell you about it so that I can take a sip. Lipton cold brew iced tea, a splash of Pellegrino, a splash of lemonade, a lemon wedge, and a lot of ice. I am going to get a sponsorship one of these days, by golly. In fact, come to think of it, if you have anything you'd like me to sponsor, send me a memo and we can talk. We'll talk terms. All right, it looks like I'm about to play a song here. I sure am. I got to get the tempos set. Hang on now. All right. This is a great Roy Orbison song. It may not be the song you think I'm going to play, But that is beside the point. I'm going to play it anyway. You know, I like to pick songs that are a little bit, you know, unexpected to my audience, and this is certainly one of them.
Find some pearls today to make a pretty necklace for Leah. I gotta go deep and find the ones just right. I'll bet my Leah will be surprised tonight. I'll place the pearls around the only girl for me. Something's wrong, I cannot move around. My leg is caught, it's pulling me down. But I'll keep my hands shut tight, for if they find me, they'll find the pearls for Leah. And now it's over, I'm awake at last. Oh, heartaches and memories from the past. Just another dream about my lost love, about Leah. Here I go, back to sleep in my dreams. I'll be with Leah, Leah, Leah.
Okay, that was Leah. Isn't that a haunting melody and song? Gosh, I get chills when I hear that song, much less when I play it. I was at a gig one night and I said, that last song haunts me, and the guy yelled, "It ought to, you killed it." But seriously, folks, I visualized that song as I heard it on the radio, and I could see, I remember a black and white TV movie on TV where there was this guy who was diving into the ocean. He was like skin diving, no tank or anything, no, not scuba diving, but skin diving. And then he goes and he's looking around the bottom, and then his foot gets caught in the jaws of a giant clam, and oh God, he can't get away. Oh God, oh God. Scary when you're a kid. Anyway, Roy Orbison, my gosh, he was, some folks called him the Caruso of rock. His operatic voice, and you know, I have a I have a funny Jim Keltner story. He was one of the Wilburys. He was the drummer, and Jim's told this story a number of times, so I think I can repeat it. And it goes something like this: Jim went to visit with Roy. Roy was a smoker. It's amazing that he had still that beautiful voice, but he was. Anyway, and he was visiting with Roy in one of the trailers, or maybe it was the bus, that was the smoking bus, and the other guys were on the other bus, the non-smoking bus, something like that. And Jim was just talking with Roy, and Roy says to him, "You know, I'm the only real singer in this group. Them other fellers are just stylists." You gotta love that. Roy was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as I mentioned, in 1986, by Bruce Springsteen. Not too shabby. You know, Springsteen said he wanted to make records that sounded like Phil Spector, and he wanted to write like Bob Dylan, and he wanted to sing like Roy Orbison, except the only problem is nobody could sing like Roy Orbison. So I think that was quite a accurate quote from the boss. Did I take my girlfriend stopped talking this morning and said to me, you weren't even listening to me, were you? And I thought, that's a pretty weird way to start a conversation. That's terrible. I have a very special moment in the show for you. It's a little bit unorthodox, but I think you're going to like it. I had a gentleman call me the other day. We pre-recorded a call. Now, trust me, you know this guy, you love this guy. He could have been a Wilbury. He absolutely could have been a Wilbury. He's an old dear friend of mine, and I'm going to play this tape-recorded conversation we had yesterday, knowing that we're going to do a show on the Wilburys, because he knew most of them. He didn't know Roy or Jeff Lynne, but he knew Dylan, Petty, and Harrison. So I'm going to thank Roger McGuinn for calling in. I'm going to play the conversation we just had the other day. And you can hear Roger telling tales of Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Tom Petty. So here it goes. Fingers crossed. Now listen carefully. Here we go. We're off to the races. Okay, looks like we are on the air. Roger McGuinn, great to have you, old friend of mine, and thank you so much for being my guest. I wanted to talk to you about the Wilburys. You know, you knew them well, I would think. What can you tell my viewers about any one of the guys?
Well, I was really good friends with Tom and George, and I've worked with Dylan over the years, and I know him pretty well. I didn't meet Roy or anybody else in there, so it was a wonderful band. I loved it. It was a super group, and it was kind of like, I remember back when I was playing with Tom and Bob in Europe, we did a tour in 1987 called Temples in Flames, and it was in Europe. We traveled all over Europe, and that was the tour that Tom and I wrote King of the Hill in Sweden. And we ended up at the Wembley Arena the last days of the tour, and George joined us for Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I remember Tom and George used to hang out a lot in L.A. When George was in L.A., he'd go over to Tom's house, and it was when fax machines were brand new. And they sent me a fax, and they signed it the Wilburys, the traveling Wilburys, you know. So it was an idea that was in George's head for a long time before they actually got the band together. And as you know, the story goes that they had some songs they wanted to demo, so they went to Bob's studio and started doing that, and then it all fell together.
Wow, well that's really interesting. I didn't know most of that. So, I mean, now I know that you told me years ago that you used to visit George, like once a year you'd go to his home in London, was it? Or did you go to Hawaii?
No, we went to Clare Park.
Uh-huh.
And it was actually during that tour in 1987, Derek Taylor accompanied us to George's house in Clare Park. And it was great. You know, we showed up and George was sitting on the second story in the window, just with his legs hanging out the window. Come on in, you know, doors open. And it was so laid back. And then we all went out to dinner and we hung out. And George was so sweet. He was just the nicest guy.
Yeah, I was had a chance to. I never met George. I regretfully, I really would have liked that. I've had close encounters with the other guys in the Beatles, but yeah, I met Derek Taylor up at Brian Wilson's home up on Laurel Way when he was representing the Beach Boys as well as the Beatles for their PR work. So He was a great guy too.
Right.
Now, I remember meeting Bob Dylan at your home up in the Malibu Hills there. I can't remember what the occasion was, but a lot of interesting people there. Peter Fonda and Gene Clark.
Yeah.
And
We used to have some nice famous people parties in Malibu. It was a lot of fun, and we had a great time. So, Kathy Goldmark was a lady who put together the traveling. No, she put together a thing called Rock Bottom Remainders. It's a group of authors, Stephen King and Ridley Peterson, Dave Barry. And what happened was this is the story that she told me. She was at one of those parties, and she walked in the kitchen, and there was this guy sitting up on the counter, and he was kind of picking at this leg of lamb that was next to on the stove. And she said, this phony guy looks, he's trying to pretend he's Bob Dylan. And later she said, it was Bob Dylan.
Yes. Well, that's kind of where I met him with you. I mean, I didn't really actually meet him like, hi, I'm Billy, but he was there. He was just there in the kitchen, just like that, and we were talking about Elvis. I had just seen Elvis in Vegas, and you asked him, hey, Bob, have you ever seen Elvis? And he was like, what? And you asked him like 3 times, and he finally went, no. That was the conversation.
Yeah, no. I don't think Bob ever did see Elvis, no. And I never saw him either. I met James Burton and people who worked around him, but I met Scotty Moore at the Iridium Club when Les Paul was having a birthday party. Got to jam with Scotty Moore. That was interesting. But the night that we're talking about, that was probably the night you were there.
Yes.
Bob used to like to come over to my house. In fact, I just bought the house, and I was on the road with my band, and I got a phone call from my real estate agent, and she said, I've got Bob Dylan on the line. I said, okay. And so Bob said, I want to buy your house. And I said, hey, I just bought it, man. I want to keep it. I love my house. But he did too, because it had a nice view of the ocean and everything. And he used to come over there all the time, and we'd hang out, and we'd play pool and watch movies and, talk about old folk music and have a good time.
Yeah, well, I remember you were the first person that had. Did you have Betamax, which was even before the? Am I right about that as far as a video player?
Yeah, it was a video player. It was called. Let's see, it was the Sony thing. It was a professional one.
Right.
I forget what it was. Yeah. It was a big thing before Betamax. It was. I can't remember the name they called it, but anyway, I had a bunch of movies on that. We used to watch movies on a big screen. We had a big screen that Gary Lockwood had loaned me. He, for some reason, bought one and didn't want to use it in his house. But I want to tell you a funny story about that house.
Yeah.
So Dylan would come over frequently, and we'd hang out. And one time he noticed a basketball hoop over the carport, and he said, "Do you have a basketball?" I said, "No." So the next day I went down to the sporting goods store and I bought a basketball. And I called his house, and Sarah answered. And I said, "Tell Bob I got a basketball." And she said, "Oh, he'll be thrilled." So the next day he came over, and we were shooting baskets in the backyard. And that's when he told me about the Rolling Thunder Review. He said, "I want to do something different, man." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't know. Something like a circus." And that was it. That's all he said. And then a couple of months later, I was in New York, and I bumped into him at the bitter end. And he and Jacques Levy were drinking brandies in the back room. And they stood up and said, "Hey, Roger, we were just talking about you. We're putting this tour together. We'd like you to go on it." And the brandy went flying. The table went over. It was like a Western movie. It was really amazing. And I finally got on the tour.
Well, I remember that tour well. It was big news. I remember big news. And Joan Baez was on it for the whole tour or for a while?
She's on the whole tour.
Yeah.
Ramblin' Jack, and Bobby Newirth, and Joan. And Joni Mitchell was on for some dates. And then we had Willie Nelson, and we had Gordon Lightfoot, Ola Guthrie. People, when we come to a town, we get the locals.
Well, yeah, which was that sort of, in a sense, was a precursor to the Wilburys. Is that not true? In a way.
Well, it was that spirit, the same kind of spirit of like, let's do something fun.
Yes. Yes, exactly, exactly. And so Bob was already primed for that. And yeah, well, I love their music, and I'm going to do some songs of theirs tonight. And gosh, Roger, thank you so much for being my very special guest and being my very special friend. It's always fantastic to speak with you, and I really look forward to seeing you one of these days soon down the line.
Yeah, it'd be fun to get out and see each other again.
Yes, sir, buddy. All right, love to Camilla. Love you guys so much, and thank you so much for calling, Raj.
Okay, Billy. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great interview with Roger McGuinn, I thought. You know, Roger was so influential. I mean, yeah, the Beatles influenced the Byrds, but the Byrds similarly influenced the Beatles. I mean, it was all a wonderful melding pot of creativity back in the 60s. If you missed the mid to late 60s, you missed a wonderful era in music. And wow, thank you, Roger McGuinn. Roger was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991 by Don Henley, so that's pretty good. Well, I have got some more music to play. I told you we're going to go long tonight. Yeah. May I just say that we're going to talk about George Harrison, since we just segued out of the Roger McGuinn thing. And by the way, thanks to all the folks that are making comments, and I'm glad you liked the way I dressed up for you tonight. Got all snazzy, or whatever, dapper I've been described as. I'm glad you like the look. Excuse me. Well, I never met George Harrison, sadly. I had close encounters with his other band members, but not George. Other band members meaning the Beatles, not the Wilburys. I did meet Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, and Roy, but I'll tell you about them later. My sister met George when he and John Lennon came to my sister's and Carl Wilson's suite in London to talk about transcendental meditation back in the mid-60s, speaking of the 60s. And she said, describe George as quiet. You know, I guess John was doing the talking. Dennis Wilson was also there. Can you imagine that conversation in that room? Wow. And then Carl ran into George at the Capitol Tower building in Hollywood, and it was during the time when the Beatles were working on the White Album. And George said, they got in the elevator together. George said something like, I hope you don't mind, we've done something that sounds a bit like the Beach Boys. And Carl was like, of course not, George. So anyway, did you like my George Harrison impression? Okay, what am I doing? Okay, I got a little tempo change, and then we're gonna do this song right here. This is a sing-along, play-along, anything you want along, get out your tambourine. If I needed someone to love, you're the one that I'd be thinking of. If I needed someone, if I had some more time to spend, then I guess I'd be with you, my friend. If I needed someone, and you come some other day, that it might not have been like this. But you see now I'm too much in love. Got your number on my wall, and maybe you will get a call from me. If I needed someone, if I had some more time to spend, then I guess I'd be with you, my friend. If I I needed someone, if I needed someone. See that riff, I mean, that riff and Feel a Whole Lot Better from the Byrds, or even Bells of Rhymney, they're all sort of intertwined, you know. The reason why I can't stand, I had to let you go, etc., etc. Well, while I get set up for this next little bit, I just was wondering if you ever thought, you know, what do snakes do after a fight? When snakes get into a fight, what do you think they do? They hiss and make up. Thank you, very little. Bob Dylan, my gosh. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member in 1986, same year as the Beach Boys and the Supremes and the Beatles. Nice class to be in, don't you think? Inducted by Bruce Springsteen. Wow, Bruce gets around at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He inducts everybody. Just, you know, I like Bob for a lot of reasons. Most recently because he mentioned Carl Wilson in his most recent epic 9-minute song, is it? Yeah, regarding JFK. And yeah, you know, he's branching out now. He's got a line of whiskey. It's called Knocking on Heaven's Door, is what I understand. I understand after a couple of belts, you start to talk like Bob Dylan. Hey, bartender, pour me another one, just like the other one. Yeah. But really, you know, he's, you know, divesting his publishing and selling off things, but he's starting a new line of children's toys, from what I understand. Yeah, and the brand is going to be called Mr. Trampoline Man. That's what I heard. Yep. Well, it looks like I got to sing a song now. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. I've always wanted to sing this song. This is one of Bob's greats, I think. And uh-oh, look out. You know what this means. This means I get my retainer off in about 2 weeks. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to do this little song for you now. Sing along, play along. We're in the key of A. Good. Somehow this isn't fitting the way I want it to. Here we go. Early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she had changed at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks said our lives together sure was gonna be tough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's banquet wasn't big enough. And I was standing on the side of the road, rain falling out on my shoes, heading out for the East Coast. Lord, I paid some dues getting through. Tangled up in blue. She was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. I helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. We drove that car as far as we could, abandoned it out west. Split up on the dark sad night, for the green it was best. She turned around to look at me as I was walking away. I heard her say, over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue.
place, and I stopped in for a beer. I just kept looking at the side of her face in the spotlight so clear. Later on, when the crowd thinned out, I was just about to do the same. She was standing there in the back of my chair. I said, "Tell me, don't I know your name?" I muttered something under my breath. She studied the lines on my face. I must admit, I felt a little uneasy when she bent down to tie the laces of my shoe. Tangled up in blue. So now I'm going back again. I gotta get to her somehow. All the people we used to know, they're an illusion to me now. Some are mathematicians, some are carpenters' wives. Don't know how it all got started. I don't know what they're doing with their lives. But me, I'm still on the side of the road, heading for another joint. We always did feel the same. We just saw it from a different point of view, yeah. Tangled up in blue. That's a lot of words. He's a real wordsmith, that Bob Dylan. Yeah, I remember there was a documentary done, history of rock and roll, and Carl Wilson was one of the people that they interviewed, all kinds of well-known rock and roll people. And the question was, who's the greatest songwriter, lyricist? Everybody, from Carl on down. Bob Dylan, Bob Dylan, Bob Dylan, Bob Dylan. So, it's unanimous. Bob Dylan's the greatest writer. Yes, indeedy do. I tell you, I hope you'll like that one. I haven't played one of these in a while. I did one of my shows earlier on in the year, and I played one of these. It'd take a little bit of getting used to, but we do what we can. You know, I got to tell you, last night, my neighbor Jesse, he was cooking burgers on the grill. It smells so good. I wish I had Jesse's grill. Ooh-wee baby. Come on now. Did you hear about the female geologist? She broke up with her boyfriend. You know why? Female geologist. He took her for granted. Yeah, he did. That dirty dog. All right, let's talk about Jeff Lynne and ELO. Wow. You know, I didn't know much about Jeff, so I started to dig in to the research of the show to try to bring you the finest in entertainment. And I said to myself, you know, at first, like, how did this guy end up with those guys? Do you know what I mean? But wow, what a monster talent. He lived with George Harrison for a while. I mean, they worked together on quite a few projects. He's a founding member, principal writer, arranger, producer, multi-instrumentalist, and vocalist for ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. They formed in 1970 in Birmingham, England. The Beatles loved them. And you can sort of hear Beatles, Beach Boys, Bee Gees influence in the ELO catalog of songs. And they had this UFO-themed logo and stage production, ELO UFO, ELO UFO. Yeah, and well, I remember back in the 70s, do you remember Parliament Funkadelic, P-Funk? You remember they were out in LA, or at least I know they played the Forum in LA. My buddy George Clinton, I spent a little time with George. I partied with George once. You remember when party was a noun? Yeah. Bootsy Collins, that whole gang. And they had this mothership concept in their show. But anyway, Jeff Lynne, picked it up on the other side of the galaxy. I mean, pond, the ocean, and you know, good on you, Jeff Lynne. Fantastic songwriter, and I'm gonna play one of his tunes, one of ELO's tunes for you right now. Let me just get set up here. Bear with me, please, pretty please. I believe this is it. No, hold on now. 031. Almost there. Here we go. Oh, you're gonna love this. I even practiced this one. Oh yeah. Key of G for anyone that cares. Oh, hold on now. No, that was not supposed to happen. Time. I just thought I had it all together, and then it all fell apart. Talk amongst yourselves, please. Okay, we got that. Fine. Now we go for the style. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? Don't you bring me down. Not gonna happen. Not gonna do it. Stay the course. 1,000 points of light. Remember all those great sayings? All right, well, that was fun. You know, in my vast research, I saw them play at Wembley. Big stadium. You might have heard of it. Enormous. ELO, that is. And, you know, Jeff Lynne produced albums for Tom Petty, Bryan Adams, Flamin' Pie for Sir Paul McCartney. Not a bad resume there. And he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2017 as a member of ELO. And he received the OBE, Order of the British Empire. Yep. I tell you, he is a real artist. And speaking of artists, you know, one of my first girlfriends was an artist. Yeah. But she gave me the brush off. Give me the brush off. Hey, guess what time it is? It's time to blow my nose, excuse me. Well, it's trivia time in the Rockies. This here is today's trivia contest prize. This is a little postcard. I don't remember whether I've given one of these away already, but I'm going to give another one away if I have. If not, this will be a first. This is a postcard that we use as promo, Ricky, Desi, and Billy. That was sort of the next generation after Dino, Desiree, and Bilskis. I mean, Dino, Desi, and Billy. This was from a show that we did at the historic Boulder Theater that my friend Desi Arnaz Jr. and his beautiful wife Amy own. And this was from May 24th and 25th. It doesn't have the year, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, this is what I'm going to send you if you correctly answer this next question. I want the correct spelling of names that I'm about to ask you. Here's the contest. Please don't enter or put an answer up if you've already won. That wouldn't be any fun. Let others have a chance, please. Thank you very much. So, here it is. First one to name all 5 members of the original Byrds. Give me all 5 members' names correctly spelled, and you shall win this. And I'll even sign it for you, should you request. Okay, that's it. Go and do and be and write, and good luck. That is that. Okay, onward and upward. This is my next segment. This exciting segment. I'm going to do a little wardrobe change while you're writing. So hang out with me for a moment. And here's a little music while I do a little quick change. And also, I'm going to get a fresh guitar, okay? Okay. Be right back. Bam! I'm back. Well, pretty lively music, isn't it? I think that's good, kind of my thematic music. I hope you enjoy it. So anyway, it's Rickenbacker time in the Rockies. You know, like Roger McGuinn, when he saw Hard Day's Night, he saw George playing that Rickenbacker and John Lennon playing that Rickenbacker, and he was like, I gotta get one of those. Similarly, I got one of those too. I think Roger and I were 2 of the first people on the West Coast to own Rickenbackers back in '65. And I am a staunch supporter of that brand to this day. They made this one for me, custom made. Isn't that a beauty? Yep, it's got 12 strings and everything. Yep. It's like that Mitch Ryder song, got bracelets on the fingers now and everything. I did that song the other day. All right, what am I doing? I'm moving my little script over here because we are going to go electric for you now for these next couple of songs. This is the Tom Petty segment. Yeah, this is the Tom Petty segment. And, you know, I met him at a liquor store in Tarzana. It was the first time I met Tom, many moon ago, probably late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, early 80s. And I said hello, introduced myself. He knew who I was from my group, and he was buying some Sherman cigarettes. You know those Shermans, come in a little package, and that's where I first met him. Then I met him at Farm Aid. I have a picture of him in the back there somewhere. I'm gonna take it out and show you all on Facebook one of these days. And yeah, Bob Dylan was on that show. Roy Orbison also performed at Farm Aid at September 22nd of '85. And that was when I saw him again. And I remember visiting Carl Wilson. He had an apartment there on the Wilshire corridor right near Westwood when he was in town, when he wasn't up in Colorado where he had a permanent home. And Carl showed me his apartment, and we're sitting around talking, and he said that he had just done a vocal session for Tom Petty, and I believe it was on the Wildflower session. And Carl said, and afterwards he thanked Carl, and he went into the other room, and he came back with his guitar case, and he opened it up, and it was one of Tom's signature limited edition Rickenbacker guitars that he gave to Carl for doing the session. Now that's class, you know, that is very cool. Before I go into this next song, do you know what a cow on speed sounds like? A cow on speed sounds like this. Yep, that's what they sound like. Yeah, I heard that, you know, like Dennis Wilson liked fishing. Tom Petty liked fishing. He liked deep sea fishing. He did not like fly fishing, you know, river, freshwater fishing. Yeah. He said the wading was the hardest part. Look out. All right, let me get this tempo set. This should be simple enough, says I. Searching, searching, searching. Sing with me, please. I need your help.
Out in the bed. 8% and always paid from the heart. He got an agent and a roadie named Bart. They made a record and it went on the charts. The sky was the limit. His leather jacket had changed that would jingle. They both met movie stars, partied and mingled. Harry and Armin said, I don't hear a single. The future was wide open. Into the great wide open. Under the skies of blue. Out in the great wide open. A rebel without a clue. Into the great wide open. Under the skies of blue. Into the great wide open. A rebel without a clue. Yeah. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, 1962? Yeah, I guess so. He's inducted by Jacob Dylan. And, you know, Jacob did that Echoes of the Canyon movie, which was so terrific. In fact, Jacob was a classmate of my nephew, Jonah Wilson. What do you think about that? Yep. That's a fact when they were in, like, grammar school. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeed. I went hiking the other day and made, you know, a little playlist to listen to. And, had music from Peanuts, the Cranberries, and M&M. I call it my trail mix. There's a seal of, I think that's a seal of disapproval. You know, on the topic of music, did you know that windmills are heavy metal fans? They're heavy metal fans, yeah. Yes, they are. Well, now we finally got to the traveling Wilburys. It looks like this is going to be a 90-minute show. Hope you don't mind. Maybe a little less. Yeah, English-American supergroup formed in 1988. They adopted pseudonyms as half-brothers of a fictional traveling family. And the idea came from conversation George Harrison and Jeff Lynne were having. They were working on George's Cloud 9 album. So whenever they had a technical problem, they would say, well, we'll bury it in the mix. We'll bury it. The Wilbury, we'll bury it. So they became the Wilburys. They referred to themselves as such. And yeah, so that's where it got its origin. 1990, the Wilburys got a Grammy for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group. And they met Tom Petty when the Heartbreakers were backing Bob Dylan on a European tour. How about that? So, and when they were putting the idea together, George wanted to have Bob Dylan in the group and Jeff Lynne wanted Roy Orbison. So Tom was the missing link, so to speak. And then Jim Keltner on drums. Okay, moving right along. Another sing-along, play-along. This is one of the great Wilburys songs. I'm sure you're going to recognize it right away. Unos, dos, tres. You're the best thing I ever found. Handle me with care. Reputation's changeable, situation's tolerable, but baby, you're adorable. Handle me with care. I'm so tired of being lonely. I still have some love to give. Won't you show me that you really care? Everybody got somebody to lean on. Put your body next to mine and dream on. I've been far, I've been around. I've been around every hill. Daycare centers and night school. Handle me with care. Stuck in airports, terrorized. Sent to meetings, hypnotized. Overexposed, commercialized. Handle me with care. I'm so tired of being lonely. I still have some love to give. Won't you show me that you really care? Everybody got somebody to lean on. Put your body next to mine and dream on. I've been uptight and I made a mess. I'll clean it up myself, I guess. Oh, the sweet smell of success. Handle me with care. Handle me with care. I think I'll take a little bow on that one. What do you think? Not a bow wow, a bow. There's a difference. Okay. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of the line, so to speak. I sure hope you've enjoyed my little presentation tonight. I've had fun. Oh my gosh. I tell you, this is just great. Like Dean Martin says, this is better than going out. All right, let's see what we got here. A little tempo change. I want you to sing along, play along, hit that tambourine, shake that moneymaker. All right, I got to do one little style thing here. 116. Okay, hang on now. Boy, I can't believe I found it so fast. All right, here we go. Woo! That's too fast. That's way too fast. If I had tried to do this guitar riff at that tempo, no bueno. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Well, it's all right, riding around in the breeze. Well, it's all right, living the life that you please. Well, it's all right, doing the best that you can. Well, it's all right, as long as you lend a hand. We can sit around and wait for the phone to ring, the end of the line. Wait for
tell you everything. End of the line. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring. The end of the line, a diamond ring. Well, it's alright, even if they say you're wrong. Well, it's alright. Sometimes you gotta be strong. But it's alright, as long as you got somewhere to lay. But it's alright, every day's Judgment Day. Maybe somewhere down the road away, end of the line, you'll think of me and wonder where I am these days. End of the line. Maybe somewhere down the road when someone plays Purple Haze. Well, it's alright, even when push comes to shove. Well, it's alright, as long as you got someone to love. Yeah, well, it's alright, everything will work out fine. Well, it's alright, gonna be the end of the line. Don't have to be ashamed of the car I drive. The end of the line. I'm just glad to be here, happy to be alive. The end of the line. It don't matter if you're by my side. I'm satisfied. Well, it's alright, even if you're having great. But it's alright if you got something to say. Well, it's alright, remember to live and to live. Well, it's alright, the best you can do is forgive. Well, it's alright, riding around in a breeze. Well, it's alright, don't really do what you please. Well, it's alright, even if the sun don't shine. Well, it's alright, don't do the end of the line. All right. That, in fact, is the end of the line, end of the show, except for, of course, my closer. Oh, boy, that was fun. I sure hope you had fun with that one. That's a good closer, don't you think? Be a closer, don't be a poser. I just made that up. Okay, just full of ideas tonight. Don't say it, I'm not full of a lot of other things too, don't you say it. All right, I sure have had fun. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Show number 48, the Traveling Wilburys show. Wow, fantastic. Well, I sure hope to see you next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise. I'm thinking of doing a show based on the Wrecking Crew. This is a concept I have rattling around in my head. I haven't quite formulated it yet, but don't you worry, I'll come up with something. You know me. I'm down with OPP. Okay, what's wrong with me tonight? Must be that full moon fever. Seriously, folks. All right, if you like my show, if you like what you see, what you hear, send in a little something, would you please? Help me keep the lights on and the home fire's burning. See that little fireplace? I actually had to have a little maintenance done on that earlier the week. Honest to God. Anyway, so send in a little something. I appreciate it. And of course, a portion of the proceeds goes to MusiCares, helping musicians everywhere. And I shall certainly be grateful and send you a note of thanks. And onward and upward. Here we go. Positivity every day. Positivity in every way. Positivity is what I need. Positivity, yes indeed. Positivity throughout the day. Positivity, that's what I say. Positivity is my friend. Positivity through everybody. Let's stay positive, won't you? I know I'm going to do my best to stay positive. Yes, indeed. And I truly hope that this beautiful life brings you all the wonderful things that it has to offer. Good night.